Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Hi, I'm Speeder. Okay, welcome back to another Keeper of the Movies video. Last one I filmed was yesterday, Saturday, the, was it 14th or something? Yeah, 14th. Today's Sunday the 15th of May. This I know won't get posted for 2 weeks, but I'm trying to get a backlog of videos, and I have a backlog of 3 videos now, I think, for Keep of the Books. I'm trying to catch up with the backlog for Keep of the Movies and try to make a backlog of 3 videos for this channel. Which means 2 more Dragon Prince reviews hopefully get done today. So, yeah, if you haven't seen the title of today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Dragon Prince Season 3, Episode 3, Ghost. Great episode. This video will contain spoilers for Season 1 and 2 of The Dragon Prince, potentially, and the first 3 episodes of Season 3. I will try to avoid spoilers for anything past Season 3, Episode 3, but you can pretty much guarantee that there's nowhere safe before Season 3, Episode 4. So, yeah. I would honestly recommend just watching the whole series before you watch this, but I would try to avoid spoilers for future episodes. Yeah, so if you haven't seen one of these reviews before, or if you've only seen like the early ones in Season 1, where I was kind of not really sure what I was doing yet, basically now what I'm doing for all of my reviews is kind of doing, normally it's like a podcast style where you can't see my face, but I'm deciding to use the camcorder more often lately. And basically, I just talk about everything that happens in the episode and occasionally go on tangents about certain things. That's generally what makes it fun, is to go on those tangents. I try to make it a little, like, less than 40 minutes, or at least less than 50 minutes. But sometimes it gets up to like 45 minutes long. In the last video we did, I don't know if it was Keep of the Movies or Keep of the Books, because I can't keep track at this point. I of course had my obsession with cheesecake, which I still have the garbage for that in front of me. It was delicious. I don't normally like cheesecake, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I just thought I should mention it because it was in front of me. Yeah. I guess let's just get into it. I think we've had a far long enough intro. Also, if I sneeze, cough, anything like that, it's just normal right now because I have some slight cold symptoms left over from when I had the flu about a week and a half ago. So, if that happens, that's why. Okay, this episode is jam-packed with stuff. Like, I thought that the last episode, The Crown, had a bunch of stuff in it. No. That one didn't even fill an entire page. Yeah, like, almost did, but there was, like, 2.5 lines left. This episode, in my notes, had a page and a half of notes. So a lot more happened in this one. Honestly, yeah. In The Crown, we follow 2 storylines. We have Ezran's storyline as he's making all these decisions as a new king, and we have Callum and Rayla just going through Xadia. It feels like a lot happens, but it also feels like a lot doesn't happen. Most of the stuff that happens in that episode is with Ezran's storyline. But in this episode, we have 3 main storylines with like a 4th subplot. Like we have 3 storylines, but one of them is like split in half, with like 2 halves to the story, which is kind of what it was, like 2 storylines, 1 split in half for the last one. But this one, we have a lot happening. So let's just get into it. So in this episode, we start in Xadia with Callum and Rayla. And they're just walking. They still have the Adoraburs, and they're heading towards Rayla's home. So they're talking about it, and they're like all excited. But Rayla's like, Callum, you may not be so popular because, he's a human. And so he does the reverse of what Rayla does with human Rayla with elf Callum. Oh, me best mates saw trees. Anyways. So he is an I think it's Earthblood elf or Earthblood elf? I'm honestly not sure what it was. I can't always understand the accents, especially like Rayla's accent I can always understand, and I'm not sure if it's Earthblood or elf or Earthblood or something along those lines. Earthbred? I don't know, but it's something along those lines. Callum originally refers to them as like forest elves. We've never met one of these, so I don't know. Maybe we will in the future. That'd be fun. So yeah, Callum pretends to be an elf. So then we go to Ezran, and this is the plot that it's kind of split into between Ezran and Soren and Claudia. It's actually kind of split in three because it's like Ezran, Soren and Claudia, and Kasif. It's not one of the main two plot lines of this episode. I mean, it's there, and the Soren and Claudia part is more important. But we go to the Ezran bit of this storyline. Ezran is waiting on the floor. He's playing with bait. He summoned Kasif to the council chambers, and Kasif originally asks if Ezran has changed his mind, and Ezran's like, no, I think I have something that'll change your heart or your mind, whatever. So he tells Kasif about what's happening with the Dragon Prince and Callum and Rayla, bringing Zim to the Dragon Queen. Kasif doesn't seem happy about this, and there's another person in the room that also doesn't seem happy about this, and that is one of the councilmen in the corner, who has always kind of looked at Ezran and been like, I feel like he's not that good of a king. So he always seems like the most, questionable of the councilmen, which we learn later in this episode is definitely true. So, yeah, oh, and of course, the moment when Ezran is like, oh yeah, and Zim is very cute. We have Bait just being himself and just being like, I never noticed that until I watched it today. He's just like, meh. And I think it's so funny. Bait has such a big personality. I guess, minor spoilers for Avatar The Last Airbender, but it's nothing, storyline related. Obviously, they have, two pets in Avatar The Last Airbender. It's Appa and Momo, right? And both of them have personalities, but neither of them have such a big personality as Bait in The Dragon Prince. Seriously, Bait has the biggest personality. He's so grumpy, but he has so many dimensions to his personality. And he is my favorite. I love Bait so much. Zim is so cute, but Bait is so good. He is my favorite. I did end up finding a Dragon Prince character tier list, and so that's gonna be one of the episodes that I do on the Dragon Prince after I finish the Dragon Prince Season 3. I have 4 or 5 of those that I want to do. One of them I may scratch from the list, but at the same time I don't think I will. Yeah, so Kasif rejects this, and he leaves the room, and he's like, I think you're a child who's believing in fairy tales. So he leaves, but we go outside, and Kasif is getting on his horse, and that same councilman, who was seen to be doubting Ezran, comes out, and he's like, hey Kasif, can I speak with you for a moment? And the moment, the first time I watched this, I was like, the moment I saw this, I was like, oh, frick, no. This is gonna go bad very quickly. And I'm not gonna say what happens, but, yeah. So, we then go to our third part of the storyline, the start of that. We seem to be in the capital of the Sunfire Elves, and the Sunfire Elf who was fighting Amaya back at the breach. I don't think we've learned her name yet. We might have. She says the name of this place, but I don't remember exactly what it was, and I'm not even sure I completely understood what she said. I have a hard time understanding other people's accents. Like, even, like, people from other places in the United States, I have a hard time understanding them sometimes. And people may have a hard time understanding me at times, because occasionally I talk, like, extremely fast. But, yeah. Yeah, so Amaya is being interrogated by the Sunfire Elves. I do love that they have, like, this great, like, linguistics student who's fantastic. She's definitely a scholar. And her and this Sunfire Elf, who I don't know the name of, enter this, like, ring of fire, which is where Amaya is. They untie her hands so that she can speak, start talking to her, and she doesn't say anything until, of course, being Amaya, the best human character in the show, immediately says, why don't you go stick your sword up your backside? At least I can only assume that is what she said, just based on the interpretation and just the way she signed. I don't know sign language. I'm learning it soon. Like, I'm going to take a class next year for ASL, but I don't know exactly what she said, but just from the way that it looked like what she was saying, and from the interpretation, I can only assume that she told her to stick a sword up her backside. But, yeah. Or something like that. Or maybe, like, I don't know. Let's see. Maya's being interrogated. Oh, we haven't gotten to that part yet. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, she's being interrogated. So then we cut to Rayla and Callum again, which is kind of the main storyline of this episode. So Rayla takes Callum to her home, and they do this special, like, dance ritual, which is so cute. Like, the ritual is great, and it's, like, you can see Callum, like, stumbling around, and Rayla's just being, like, all graceful, and Rayla. And it's just so, it's such a cute moment. You have the dork, and the graceful assassin, and I ship them so much. So much. It's great. But anyways, I have to, like, point out, like, every moment in this show that has them. Like, I started shipping them from season 1 on that boat ride. I'm like, okay, yeah, I ship this. I ship this. Let's see. So Rayla's super excited. She wants to show Callum everything, which again I think is super cute. She's like, I can show you where I grew up. I can show you this great place to get this Moonberry surprise, I think is what it was, or something like that. But then Callum is the first one to realize something is wrong. He sees that the people around them seem to have no faces, which has gotta be the creepiest thing. Like, can you imagine just, like, being in real life, not animated, and just going around and you see people with freaking no faces? That's gotta be creepy. But anyways, Callum realizes that they have no faces, and Rayla's like, oh no, I've become a ghost. And of course, we're all confused about what this means, but it'll be explained later in the episode. So then we go to the other, third plot in the castle plot, which is Soren and Claudia. And this is kind of the main plot for the castle. They go to see their father, Viren. And they talk to him for a moment. Viren's like, okay, none of this is important. What happened to the egg? Claudia tells him that it's no longer an egg, that it was hatched, and is now a dragon. And Viren, of course, is very upset, and he's like, can you let this get back into the hands of Xadia? And she's like, well, Soren was gonna die. And this is the moment where Viren kind of drops his facade and is just like, no, Viren, where he's like, oh, that doesn't matter. Soren can die, just like he did in season 1 when he gave Claudia the mission. He's like, if you had to choose between Soren or the egg, choose the egg. But of course, Claudia chose his family over the egg, like we've seen she will always do, as we got that in-depth conversation that she had with Ezran in season 2. So she chooses Soren, she chooses family over the egg, or I guess Zim. And she saves Soren's life instead. And they go home, and Viren is very upset by this. And then Claudia's he's like, well, I would have you choose my life I would have you choose Zim over me, my life, which I honestly don't know if that's true, to be honest. Just because, in season 1, in the early episodes, he at first wasn't willing to sacrifice his life for Harrow, but then by the end of the episode it looked like he might sacrifice his life for Harrow, so it's unclear whether or not he actually would have her choose the egg over him, or I guess the dragon over him, but he's a complicated character who is kind of unpredictable. So Claudia then confronts him about why he told Soren to kill the princes. And then we cut away from that. So find the princes. Okay, then we go back to Rayla and Callum. And Rayla then explains what being a ghost means. So she says that the moon, that the moon shadow elves. There we go. Moon shadow elves have a ritual that they will do. There's a magical banishment that makes her and anyone who comes in with her invisible, and it makes them have no faces. So, no communication. And she says that there is one person who would understand after she gets a small pep talk from Callum. Okay. Yeah, so then Amaya refuses to talk /sign. She tells the Sunfire Elf to stick her sword up her back. Yeah. Okay, so that's when that happens. And yeah. So then the Sunfire Elf is like, well, I'll take you before our queen. So then we go back to Callum and Rayla. And they're going up these steps, and Rayla's explaining who they're going to. So she says that after her parents were banished, after they supposedly, as far as we know, they abandoned the Dragon Prince. And she says that after her parents were gone, she was raised by Renan and his husband, Athari. And she was very close with him, and so, since Renan is supposedly dead, though we may think otherwise by the end of this episode, she's going to see Athari. Like I said, Renan's husband, person who raised her. And they go to see Athari, who she thinks that he wouldn't have done the spell, but it turns out that he actually did do the spell, and she is obviously very hurt by this. Okay. So then we go back to Amaya and the Sunfire Elves. So Amaya is taken before the Queen, and when the Queen speaks to her, she kind of spits at her feet, which is clearly a bad idea. Like, you're being super arrogant right now. Which, I mean, I don't blame her, and she is fantastic. But that is something you don't do when you're a prisoner of war, and you are at the feet of the queen of your enemies. You don't spit. That is a death sentence. Don't do that. Please. Goodness gracious, Amaya. So, then the queen is like, she's useless, so dispose of her. Okay. So then we go back to Rayla, Callum, and Athari. So Callum is outraged at this after Rayla's, like, super sad. So he tries everything he can to get Athari's attention. And it's unclear whether or not the table shook or if, Athari caught, like, a glimpse of Rayla in the reflection of his blade, but he's able to see Rayla and Callum in the reflection of his blade that he is currently working on. And I'm not sure exactly how this works. Like, can you only speak to people when you can see their reflection when they're a ghost, or can they always hear you? Because we hear Athari's voice. I don't know if Rayla can hear his voice. It seems like he can, but it's a little unclear about how that works. Like, can you hear the voices of the people that have banished you? Or is it just Athari, or is it just that you can see her in a reflection? It's a little unclear. But yeah, I was just a little confused about that one. Okay. So he says it doesn't matter because you abandoned them. He doesn't say this, but it's kind of implied, just like your parents. That's gonna hurt. But anyways. Then we go back to Viren, Claudia, and Soren. And Erebos, who's talking to him through the bug on his ear, tells Viren, don't tell Claudia the truth because you'll lose her and we will need her, which is intriguing. So Viren lies about the fact that he told Soren to kill the princes, and he's like, Soren, you're not the brightest, and you must have misunderstood. You were easily confused, and this upsets me. Because I love Soren, especially Season 3 Soren, and I'm just like, dude, don't take advantage of that. He may not be the brightest, but he's still a good person. Don't take advantage of him. Like, holy freaking crap. And he's not as dumb as you think. Yeah, but Claudia unfortunately believes Viren over Soren because she thinks that her father is the smart one, which isn't always the case, though at the same time it is, because he's very calculating, but he's still evil. But Claudia believes Viren, and they leave. And that is when we get to the last bit of our castle storyline. This one is still Kasif, so Councilman and Kasif come down the stairs. Councilman pays off the guard at the door, which I wonder, how corrupt must your government be, this councilman, to be able to do that. That's, yeah. Seem a little bit corrupt, the councilman, which just explores more themes in the show. This show explores like a lot of sensitive topics, of important, like even political topics with this whole showing of kings and things like that. And now we're seeing corruption in this councilman who's paying off this obviously corrupted guard who accepts bribes. And he enters this cell to talk to Viren and reveals that Kasif is with him and is wanting to talk to him. And we may or may not find out what this is all about later. Though not in this episode. Yeah. Now we're on the second page. This is gonna be a shorter video though, I think, because even though this is like a longer like this has more stuff in it, for some reason I had like a 40-minute video last time. This is only 25 minutes so far. So then we go back to Rayla, Callum, and Thari. So Rayla is like, she's staring at this pond with a single glowing like metalish flower in the middle. And she explains to Callum that she now understands why the people thought that she abandoned her group, because all of the other flowers have sunk except for hers. And so they think that she abandoned them. And Rayla is obviously upset by this. She's throwing rocks into this pond. And then we also get a flashback to the flower ceremony. We have Athari giving Rayla and Runan these flowers, and they put the flowers into this pond. It's like a really cool animation thing, and I love it. Like, the animation in season 1 for this show was a little choppy at times, but the animations from then on is just so clean, and it's so good. This animation is beautiful. I loved it. So, let's see. Athari joins her at the pool. So then we go back to Amaya and the Sunfire Elves, and the Sunfire Elf who Amaya saved back at the breach is like, hold up. We shouldn't just kill her, I guess is what they mean by dispose of her, because she could be useful, and even though we're enemies, she still showed me great respect on the battlefield, and she fought hard. We shouldn't just dispose of her. And the Queen considers this for a moment. She's like, okay, let the light decide her fate. So they bring up this weird, like, staff that has, like, a light bulb thing, which is, like, maybe representing the sun or something on the top, which they then, like, hold it up to Amaya. She's forced to look into this light. It almost looks like she goes blind for a moment, which would freaking suck, but she doesn't. And she's unaffected. She's just a little tired, which proves that she is, in fact, pure of heart. And I'm like, yes, I knew she was so pure. Yes, let's go, Amaya. You are awesome. Pure of heart. Let's go. Yeah. So, the Queen is like, a human that is pure of heart. How original. And she sends her off and is like, well, sister, because apparently the Queen and this enemy general are sisters. And she's like, go enjoy your pet. I can't do the accent, but yeah, it was my half-hearted attempt. I can never have an echo of an accent. Never. But yeah. So then we go back to Thari, Callum, and Rayla, and Thari breaks the spell for a moment by holding Rayla's hand, and he's able to see Rayla, Callum, and Ezran. Rayla explains that she did not, in fact, abandon her group. She was the reason they were discovered, but she did not abandon them, and that she left with Callum because they found the egg of the Dragon Prince, which is now Zim. Thari says this is a miracle, so he sends them off after a great moment with Elf Callum. Trees to meet you. Trees to meet you too. Don't you And then, so he sends Rayla and Callum off with 2 mounts, and he also gives Rayla a moon opal, which we've seen used previously in the show by Lujane, the mage at the Moon Nexus, back in season 2, I believe. And then he then sends off a message. He's like, the last time I made a message for you, Runan, it was for a message of death, but now I make one of these to carry a message of life. Oh yeah, and by the way, the Dragon Queen is dying, which is why he needs to send this message. I forgot to mention that. So he sends off this message, Machina Draconis, whatever, and this bird flies off. And then, before this actually a little bit, it is revealed that near the bottom of the pool is a flickering flower, which we can only assume is Runan, since he was alive and was put into a coin. Yeah, so, that's basically what happens in this episode. It's kind of a lot, mostly with Callum and Rayla's story, whereas in the last episode we didn't get a lot for Callum and Rayla. We got a lot of cute moments, but not like a lot of story progression, whereas this episode we did get a lot of story progression, a lot of development for Rayla's character, which I very much enjoyed. We also got a little bit of Ezran, though not too much, and we got some Viren and Erebos manipulating things. And we got the councilman being a traitor and working with Kasif. There's, quite a lot that happened in this episode, and I really do enjoy this episode. This is one of my favorites of Season 3. I love pretty much all of the episodes in Season 3, but this is like an especially good one. So, yeah. I really love this episode, if you can't tell. Character development, the stories, the background on Rayla's past, the politics, and which normally I don't like politics in real life, but I love the representation of it in shows and books, especially like Dragon Prince and Legend of Korra and the Stormlight Archive, the series. I love that, especially like all of Brandon Sanderson's books. We're great with that. Or at least like all of the ones in the Cosmere, which I've read a lot of those. I've read the first 3 books of Stormlight plus the novella can't remember what it's called for some reason, but the novella in between books 2 and 3 of Stormlight. I've also read Mistborn Book 1, Warbreaker, Elantris. Yeah. Working on reading the Cosmere right now. But yeah, I love the way that they show these things, and it's really interesting to me. And we see corruption, we see Viren manipulating things. There's just so much that happens in this episode. I could not talk about this one for long enough. And this isn't one of the ones that I have planned for analysis, but I don't know. I may do like a political analysis stuff on this show. Probably not. I don't think I'm really up for that, but yeah, I have a lot of stuff. Like I'm gonna be doing like Callum's magical journey analysis, like in depth of the Book of Destiny and Breathe, specifically Callum's dream, a Callum and Rayla ship analysis, a Dragon Prince character tier list, just a bunch of Dragon Prince related videos after I finish Dragon Prince Season 3. But yeah, in the meantime, that is all I have to say on this episode of The Dragon Prince. If you want to hear what my next 4 weeks worth of videos for all of my channels are, then you can wait here for a moment. so let's see. Oof, I do not have that on me, do I? Now here's one of these moments where you need to skip like 45 seconds. Sorry about that. Switching through filming locations, so I have stuff upstairs and downstairs. Okay, so this episode should come out in 2 weeks. Just posted that one. Okay, so it looks like the next 4 weeks worth of videos for this channel will be the Dragon Prince Season 3 Episode 4 review, Dragon Prince Season 3 Episode 5 review, the Dragon Prince Season 3 Episode 6 review, and the Dragon Prince Season 3 Episode 7 review. And for Keeper of the Books, I will be doing, well, I've already filmed one of these, but for the next 4 weeks worth of videos for Keeper of the Books, there will be all side character tournament videos. We will have Holt from Ranger's Apprentice, The Royal Ranger, and Early Years versus Roden from The Ascendants. That is one video that I've already done. And then it will be Dex Disney from Keeper of the Lost Cities versus Annabeth Chase from Percy Jackson and the Olympians and the Heroes of Olympus. And then it will be Keith Sensen from Keeper of the Lost Cities versus the winner from next week's Keeper of the Books video, which I already have. I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's either Holt or Roden. And then we'll do the final in the side character tournament, which I don't know. It'll be either Dex or Annabeth versus Keith or whoever this other winner is. Yeah, so that's that for Keeper of the Books. For Keeper of the Games, I'm just doing a bunch of Breath of the Wild videos. Anyways, yeah, that is all I have for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye.